Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
Hello, everyone. This is Roger Chen from University of San Francisco Center for Business Studies and Innovation in Asia Pacific. Today, we are very pleased to welcome Beerud, Sheth, to join our interview program. I want to sincerely thank you, Beerud, for joining us. Would you please briefly introduce yourself?
Roger, thanks for having me here. Excited to, share my thoughts and experience and I guess pay it forward. I've just a quick personal and professional intro. So I grew up in India. I went to undergraduate school at the Indian Institute of Technology, that's IIT Bombay. And then I came to the US for grad school at MIT. All of that was in computer science. I had a short stint on Wall Street, right? Which might be surprising, but it's also very quantitative. So they hire a lot of kids from STEM programs. But then, and that was in the mid 90s, and around that time, the internet happened. So that's when I said, okay, this is a game changer. I want to focus on building internet companies. And, so I've been an entrepreneur since then, a serial entrepreneur. I founded my first company called Elance in 98. Elance, and it's now called Upwork. It's a public company. It pioneered the gig economy or online freelancing, and it continues to scale and grow very nicely today. And later in the mid 2000s, I think 2005 or so, I founded this company called Gupshup, which is the pioneer in conversational engagement. And I'll talk more about it as well soon. But essentially, we help businesses build conversational experiences or chatbots to engage with their consumers. And this is particularly relevant globally in the emerging markets, which are mobile first and messaging centric environments. So a little bit like what WeChat has done in China, the same kind of idea, a super app is emerging in the other emerging markets as well. So we build tools, enterprise tools. We help businesses take advantage of that.
How my Indian heritage affected my new venture career.
Do you think your, Indian cultural heritage give you advantages or disadvantages in pursuing your entrepreneurship journey?
Well, yeah, I think for any entrepreneur, right, the sum total of their life experiences is what makes them who they are. So there's no question that, at least for me, the Indian culture and upbringing has had a significant role to play in what I've done and what I've been successful with. And certainly, by and large, it's been very, very helpful, right? Now, it's not, I don't think any culture is perfect. There are pros and cons and advantages and so on. But at least for me, it's benefited immensely, right? I think, like say in the Indian culture and many Asian cultures as well, there's a very heavy emphasis on education, especially STEM education, math, computer science, and so on. And that's why there's a lot of students from IITs coming in here. So just that focus and also that alumni network is very, very helpful because many customers we sell to, there are Indian leaders, many investors, VCs and so on, have Indians and so on. And not that there's any preference necessarily, but just some of those shared experiences or similar schools and colleges and alumni.
Right. These are very natural, human nature kind of thing.
Yeah, they're just very natural, right? The other big thing, I think, growing up in India, India is a very heterogeneous country, right? So for example, it's not like China, let's say, that's very homogeneous. It's more like Europe, right? Where there's like 25 countries all together in one so it's more like a continent, right? India. And what that forces you to do right from kindergarten, right, is that you're interacting with people who are very, very different from you. The language they speak, the foods they eat, the clothes they wear. I mean, just everything right from day one, right? Ever since
that's very insightful. Yeah, that's very insightful.
So how to deal with different people, how to persuade, how to convince, how to negotiate, how to resolve disputes, how to build trust across cultural boundaries, how to be inclusive, and so on are deeply ingrained. I mean, you just grow up thinking that, because everyone has different beliefs. Everybody has, different concepts and so on. And I think that is very helpful. So you see a lot of Indian leaders, being able to deal. So now, like, for example, I said, right, we work in 40 different countries. And one of the hardest things there is, working across cultural barriers and still having a high trust relationship. And I think in some sense, we've done that right from day one. Maybe a couple of other quick points. I think the, English is just sort of native and so on. So I think that helps tremendously. And so on. I think the other, maybe the last thing is, just there's a very broad Indian philosophy as reflected, for example, in yoga or in, Indian meditation or things like that, which is, look, just focus on what you can control, right? Don't worry about the result. Don't get distracted by other things, what other people are doing or what could happen or could not happen, because all of that anxiety just gets in the way, right? Just stay present, stay in the moment and do what you can control. And I think that, again, is especially with entrepreneurship, you're dealing with so many unknowns. It's sort of a difficult thing, right? So I think all of these factors, and by the way, many of these are common across many other cultures. Maybe one disadvantage I should mention that, since we're talking about this, I think, Indians often, generally speaking, tend not to be very boastful, or let's say they're not very good at marketing themselves or their own capabilities. I mean, you kind of tend to, there's a very high premium on humility. And while that's good in general, but as you know, right, when you're doing sales and marketing, it's like, no, you have to sort of highlight what you're exceptional at, what you're really good at. And I think, that's what, let's say, again, generalizing American culture is very good at, right? I mean, it's sort of creating these ideas and these concepts. Like, for example, yoga is better marketed in California than it is in India, right? So that tells you a simple example. So, but I think, look, at this point, I'm like a hybrid. I've lived half my life in India, half my life in America. And I go back and forth across and I do business like all over, right? All over the world. So I can see the many different benefits. And I think maybe the last thing I'll say is, like, no place is perfect. No culture is perfect. I think, but having that open mindset of saying, okay, what's good, what's not, being able to analyze, being even self-aware of, one, what you're good at, but what you're not good at, because nobody can be good at everything. Then it allows you to say, okay, maybe I should get better at this. Maybe I should learn from this other thing and so on, right? I think that perspective is really, really helpful.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very sophisticated global perspective.
Thank you for watching.